Sport inspires greatness. It creates enduring heroes.
But when that amazing 31-year-old Czech runner Emil Zatopek is in a race, he's very soon out on his own. He always looks as if he hates running, but nothing stops him.
Legends, delivering moments that reverberate through history. But which long-distance runner deserves the honor of the greatest of all time? One of the most brilliantly deceptive pieces of sports marketing ever devised is the term fun run. Over the last 40 years or so, the fun run has been staged with increasing frequency in cities throughout the world, raising incalculable funds for charities and special causes and contributing to an increased spotlight on healthy activity. Analysis has shown that the average time for the amateur fun runners at the international marathons is about 4 hours and 20 minutes for the 42.195 kilometers or 26 miles and 385 yards. But at the elite level, the marathon is a very different beast and not much fun at all. Running the journey just a few minutes over 2 hours, the professional marathoners leave nothing in the tank. They are either courageous or crazy, and probably a little bit of both. Pounding the road and their bodies incessantly in training, day upon day, these lean, mean running machines not only pace themselves through the race, but throughout their entire career. Just 2 marathons a year is a normal program. Until the modern superstar of the marathon, Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge, arrived to take times towards the 2-hour barrier, the world record was relatively meaningless. That's because every course and every race is different. Even those run on the same courses annually have different weather conditions, a different pace, and, on the podium, frequently a different face. But as Kipchoge went on an unprecedented run of international marathon victories, 10 in a row, including the world record of 2 hours, 1 minute and 39 seconds in the Berlin Marathon of 2018, thoughts turned to the possibility of breaking the 2-hour barrier. Kipchoge and his shoe sponsor Nike had set up a heavily sponsored and marketed attempt at the record in 2017, missing by just 25 seconds. But in October 2019, no expense was spared as the Kenyan and 41 pacemakers made another attempt in Vienna. Back in 1954, the successful bid by Great Britain's Roger Bannister to break the 4-minute mile barrier captured not just the imagination of the athletics community, but made news around the world. Although Bannister had 2 pacemakers, the attempt was held under race conditions in Oxford, and his time of 3 minutes 59.4 was recognized as a new world record.
He'd obviously used up his last ounce of energy, but what an achievement for Bannister and Britain.
Kipchoge's incredible feat of running the marathon in 1 hour, 59 minutes and 40 seconds was duly celebrated by his peers at the annual World Athletics Awards.
The World Athletics Male Athlete of the Year is Eliud Kipchoge.
It was really special. The day was really cool. I'm happy to be the first human being to run under 2 hours. And I hope I inspired a lot of generation. It was about human family. And I trust that everybody will be positive in life. In general, I'm really happy for making history.
But the pacemakers, the lack of real competition, the method of hydration and other factors meant Kipchoge's time was not officially recognized. Perhaps just as well, given the subsequent concerns about the way Kipchoge was able to cross the line with a spring in his step. The amount of carbon fiber and foam support in his Nike Vaporfly shoes became a lingering controversy, and World Athletics banned the shoe in the lead-up to the Tokyo 2020 Games in 2021. That didn't stop the Kenyan from winning his second Olympic marathon in Sapporo. And the shoes he was allowed to wear were still far superior to those worn by runners of decades past. Back in Rio, Kipchoge had worn an earlier version of the Vaporfly and beat home the closest runner not wearing Nike by more than 2 minutes. That success sparked a running shoe revolution. 9 of the 10 fastest marathons of all time have been run since Rio. Regardless of his shoes, Kipchoge is unquestionably the endurance runner of his generation. But how much should we factor his technology advantage into comparisons from the past? Track and road racing through history has produced several legends to challenge Eliud Kipchoge as the greatest long-distance runner of all time. On the dusty red roads of Kenya, in the high-altitude forests of central Ethiopia, the foot soldiers of Africa have made their continent the home of the marathon. The marathon may have been born from ancient Greece, the tale of messenger Pheidippides running from Marathon to Athens to announce victory over the Persians before dropping dead from exhaustion. But the real legend of the modern marathon is a man whose legacy has a more relatable basis of fact. He's Ethiopian Abibi Bikila, the first sub-Saharan African to win an Olympic gold medal. You have to wonder what Bikila would have thought of Eliud Kipchoge's 2-hour marathon blitz in his carbon fiber-infused Nike Vaporfly shoes. 59 years earlier, at the Rome Olympic Games, Ethiopian Bikila earned a gold medal when he completed the marathon. All 42 kilometers and 195 meters in 2 hours, 15 minutes and 17 seconds in bare feet. Bikila's performance, taking 0.8 of a second off the previous fastest ever marathon, came to the bewilderment of the world. And to the joy of his people. The inspiration he gave would change forever the makeup of marathon fields around the world. Long-distance running today now dominated by runners from the continent of Africa. Bikila, born on a farm in the highlands of Ethiopia in 1932, was 20 when he joined the Imperial Guard Infantry. A Swedish coach employed by the Ethiopian government to train the Imperial Guard noticed his long-distance talent and began preparing him for marathons. Sometimes he wore shoes, but sometimes he trained in bare feet. When he won the Armed Forces Championship and the Olympic trials in 1960, he wore shoes. But he made a rookie error in Rome by buying new running shoes, and they gave him blisters. So when he lined up for the marathon, he ran on his heart and the soles of his feet. He was not only the first Ethiopian to win Olympic gold, he was the first black athlete to win the Olympic marathon. The reception waiting for him back home in Addis Ababa made him the second most famous man in Ethiopia. The most famous, Emperor Haile Selassie, awarded him the Star of Ethiopia and presented him with a Volkswagen Beetle motorcar. The Beetle came with a chauffeur because Bekele could not drive. But he could run. At the Tokyo Olympics in 1964, he again won gold in the marathon, beating his Rome time by more than 3 minutes. And this time, he wore shoes. He was the first Olympian to win back-to-back marathons. And Emperor Selassie this time gave him a house and a new Volkswagen Beetle without chauffeur, since Bekele could now drive. But his story would take a tragic twist. In 1969, he lost control of his Volkswagen Beetle, crashed, and could never walk again. But less than a year later, he began training for wheelchair competitions and competed in archery.
Highlight of the 18th International Games for the Paralysed, held at Stoke Mandeville, was the arrival of the Queen to open the new sports stadium specially built for the disabled.
The Stoke Mandeville Wheelchair Games in London were a forerunner to today's Paralympic Games. Bekele's world profile central to the development of disabled sport.
Abebe Bekele from Ethiopia, the only winner of 2 Olympic marathon gold medals, was paralysed in a car accident 4 months ago. He's now taking up archery.
Bekele suffered a cerebral hemorrhage attributed to his car accident and died at the age of 41. 65,000 people attended his state funeral, including Emperor Selassie. The Abebe Bekele Stadium in Addis Ababa honors his memory. His barefoot run to glory, the inspiration for the modern army of Ethiopian distance runners, several of whom are contenders with him for the title of the greatest endurance runner of all time. When Ethiopian legend Abebe Bekele became the first African to win the Olympic marathon in 1960, he provided the inspiration for today's long-distance dominance by runners from the continent. But inspiration only takes you so far. There has to be another reason why more than 60 years later, the record books showed 46 of the fastest 50 marathon runners of all time were either Kenyan or Ethiopian. And the other 4 were also from Africa. Genetics can be a touchy subject, but there can be no doubt that endurance running comes a little easier to those born in and regularly training in the highlands of East Africa. Studies have found that with less oxygen in the air, the human body naturally produces more red blood cells, leading eventually to the formation of new blood vessels. In the 16 Olympic Games from 1960, African-born runners have won 9 marathons, 11 10,000 meters, and 11 5,000 meters. Those figures include 6 of the last 7 marathons, the last 9 10,000 meters, and the last 7 5,000 meters. Great Britain's Sir Mohammed Mo Farah, who twice won the 10,000 and 5,000 meter double in London and Rio, was born in Somalia and prepared for his big races at high-altitude camps in Ethiopia or Kenya. The African domination is now so complete that it seems strange that a century ago, the home of distance running was in a somewhat cooler climate. Finland produced a generation of runners who became known as the Flying Finns. Led in 1912 by Hannes Kolamainen, who won the Olympic 5,000 and 10,000 meter double, plus the now defunct individual cross-country race, and after World War I, returned in Antwerp 1920 to win the marathon.
Finland's Paavo Nurmi, first to better 4 minutes for 1,500 meters.
But the greatest of the flying Finns was Paavo Nurmi, who never won an Olympic marathon, but revolutionized training regimes with his relentless approach. In the years when the individual and team cross-country events were staged, Nurmi became the first Olympian to win 9 gold medals, along with 3 silver. And he did not lose a cross-country race for 19 years. Nurmi was training for the 1932 marathon in Los Angeles and was expected to win easily. But after entering the athletes' village, he was suspended by the IAAF over allegations he had breached his amateur status. The president of the IAAF was Swedish, and the controversy put the Scandinavian neighbors at loggerheads for more than a decade. After winning 17 out of a possible 24 gold medals in the 5 and 10,000 marathon and cross-country events between 1912 and 1936, the Finns would vanish from the podium. Until 1972, when Lasse Viren completed the 5 and 10 double in Munich, repeating the feat in Montreal 4 years later. His 10,000 meters in Munich is considered one of the greatest distance running performances of all time, given that Viren fell in the 12th lap, but still broke the world record. Montreal 76, he also attempted a golden treble by running 5th in the marathon. It meant he ran 10,000 kilometers in a heat on July 23, another 10,000 in the final 3 days later, a day off, then a heat, semi-final and final of the 5,000 on successive days before running a credible 5th in the 42-kilometer marathon the next day. His attempt at the treble was a bid to emulate one of the greatest of all Olympic campaigns by another European athlete in 1952.
30 runners, all of international class, took part in a recent cross-country race near Paris, a course of 6 miles through woods and heathland. Star of the meeting was number 1, Emil Zatopek of Czechoslovakia, who holds the rank of colonel in the army. He kept up his usual unhurried stride, leaving his opponents to do the pacemaking. He's running second at the moment.
The Czech locomotive, Emil Zatopek, won the 10,000 meters and took silver in the 5,000 meters in London in 1948. But in 1952, he became the first and only man to win the 5,000 meters, 10,000 meters, and the men's marathon at a single Olympic Games in Helsinki.
This is the stamina which made Zatopek a triple gold medalist in the 1952 Olympic Games. What an athlete, one of the greatest long-distance runners ever known.
Zatopek famously fell in love with Czech javelin thrower Dana Ingrova during the London Olympics. They married, and in Helsinki, as Dana Zatopkova, she won the javelin gold medal just an hour after her husband's 5,000 meters win. Zatopek was a popular figure in retirement, spoke 6 languages, and was a mentor to other long-distance runners, including Australian Ron Clark, who was considered one of the best runners to never win Olympic gold. Zatopek presented him with one of his 4. In 2012, 12 years after his death, he was one of the 12 original inductees into the World Athletics Hall of Fame.
His time of 13 minutes 57.2 beat Gunder Haig's 1942 world record by 1 second, a marvelous effort.
But of all those runners born outside of Africa, only Emil Zatopek can make our final in the race to decide the greatest long-distance runner of all time. With one final contender up next.
I'm very happy. I did my personal best.
For Haile Gebrselassie, one of 10 children raised on a farm in Ethiopia, running was an escape from a life of poverty. But even before that, it was a way to get to school. Running 10 kilometers each way, each day, he developed a unique running style with his left arm cocked, because he said that was the arm which carried his books. Gebrselassie not only won 2 Olympic 10,000 meters gold medals, but 4 10,000 world championships in a row, with a silver and bronze thrown in. Between 1994 and 2009, he set 27 world records from 2,000 meters indoors to the marathon. His second Olympic gold in Sydney was the greatest 10,000 meters finish ever. He'd beaten Kenyan Paul Tergat by less than a second in Atlanta 1996, but in Sydney, the margin between the pair was just 9/100ths of a second. The winning margin in the 100 meters sprint that year was greater, 12/100ths.
You look, just that video again and again, just what one of, just my hardest moment, I can say, because of, just the competition between me and Paul Tergat. I didn't know just I won the race until the finish line.
Gebrselassie never ran an Olympic marathon, but when he switched up to the distance after Sydney, it was with stunning success. Third in the 2002 London Marathon on debut, he went on to win 9 major marathons, including 4 Berlins and 3 Dubais. His 2008 Berlin victory broke his own world record by 27 seconds. Kenenisa Bekele came just a few years behind Gebrselassie, and has perhaps unfairly been cast in the shadow of first Gebrselassie and then Kipchoge. That leaves 4 contenders for the title of the greatest long-distance runner of all time. First, it's 4-time gold medalist Emil Zatopek. The Czech's miraculous treble gold in Helsinki achieved without modern shoes or high-altitude training. Abebe Bikila had no shoes for Africa's first Olympic marathon gold and clipped 3 minutes off with shoes when he became the first man to win 2. His role as a pioneer earns extra points. Then there's Haile Gebrselassie, with a string of 10,000 meters wins before hitting the road for 9 major marathons. Haile was the bridge between Bekele and Kipchoge. And of course, Eliud Kipchoge, handy on the track with some minor medals before rewriting the record books with 14 major marathon wins and 2 other stunning time trials. The finish has to be between the barefoot warrior Bekele and the techno-charged Kipchoge, both inspirational champions. With modern shoes to cushion his impact and spring his step, and with 60 years of nutrition and training, would Bekele be able to make up the 11-second time difference? We're saying yes, and giving Abebe Bikila one last victory as the greatest long-distance runner of all time.